The Black Fat Femme Podcast is a production of iHeartRadio and DoctorJonPaul, LLC. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the award-winning podcast, Black Fat Femme, where all the intersections of identity are celebrated. I'm one of your hosts, John, also known as Dr. John Paul. And my God, we are back. We are back. We are back. Like cooked crack honey. Just, woo, my God, this year
a brazen
came
statement
in with a bang. It came in hot. Wind, fire. It just so before we jump into the show, I'll say this. The doll said that they wanted the roaring 20s, and I don't think I want that anymore.
What does that mean?
Because again, back in the 1920s, the flower girls were like with their dresses, everybody was dancing and doing like the little shuck and jive. But now I don't think I want that anymore. Y'all can keep it. I don't think that's what they meant. I need everything and everybody to calm down. We've only been 10 days into this year, and so much has happened. But before we jump into all of that and play catch up and all of that, I want to ask you, Joho, sis, how you doing? How you holding up?
Hey fam, it's Shabish Jordan or Joho.
Yeah.
And I wish I could say happy 2025, but I know for most of us it's not, which is wild because the past few years have usually started off with someone like iconic passing away. And so I was like, for once, we don't have that. This is amazing. And then the fires happened. And I said, oh, yeah, that's what we're doing today. Many people have been bringing up the late Octavia Butler's The Parable of the Sower as like a pseudo flashpoint coming to life because the book begins in 2024 with dystopia, violence, and the effects of climate change. And I just gotta say, she hasn't been wrong. And it is
points were made.
Points were made in the 1980s, and here we are in the 2020s, 2025.
Yeah,
things are coming to fruition the worst way. So it is. Girl, it's wild, but I'm happy to be here with you.
Yeah.
I've missed you. I've missed us.
Same. It has so the thing that a lot of folks a lot of folks maybe do know, maybe don't know, is that me and Joho, we kiki a lot, like between the week before we actually jump on the mic, and then also in terms of that, like we get together and we plan our shows and stuff too. So it was 3 weeks of us not really having to like connect with each other about what we were going to do and how we were going to do it or who was going to be on and blah 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 blah. So it is nice to be back in the ring with you and just kind of be back at it and kind of bring in some good some good energy to people's ears. I do want to say before we actually jump into the show, so I did make a note in our show flow, all jokes aside, before we start today, I definitely wanted to send my love to any listener, or I should say our love, because I know me and Joho, we share a lot of the same sentiments around this, right? We know that there might be listeners or frequenters of the show who may have been affected by the fires, or maybe have people in their families. I actually have quite a few friends who have been posting on social media that either their parents lost their home or their uncles and aunts lost their homes. And so, as much as we joke about kind of everything that's happening around us, you kind of got to laugh to keep from crying. It is something that we do want to recognize that, whether you had to evacuate, you lost something, or maybe you were fearful you were going to lose something, it's deep. And I will say this, I don't think people fully have ever, unless you've ever had to truly evacuate your home, you'll never fully understand the fear that and how much it sucks to be in that position. I know for myself, so I will say I've only ever had, I don't know, have you ever had to evacuate?
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm like, yeah, probably when you were, what was it, San Diego, the San Diego fires?
Yes, when we were in Oceanside, but it was a fire. It started at the military base.
Yeah.
But we could literally see it from my mom's front yard. We can literally see the fire raging.
Yeah.
And so, like, a Thursday, we were like, it won't.
They always do that.
We see some glow, but like, it ain't gonna. And then we saw it over the hill, and we said, "That's our cue.
Time to go."
It was my mom, my dad, my aunt, and I, and just packed up on out to by the ocean. And it was, and I think to your point, right? Like, I think for us, right? Like, thankfully it was a fire that wasn't like spreading rapidly the way that this is, right? So like I'm not packing and seeing fire coming towards me, but like, but there's a very real
Yeah.
threat of like we're packing what we need now, we're packing what we need now, and like our home may not be here, but
When we
like that
come
morning
yeah.
I woke up, and like my car is my car, my at that point the car they had, was it the car I had? I think the car at that point was a black car, and when I went outside, I said, "Why is my car silver?" And I realized it was ash because the ash was like all like that like overnight the ash had gotten so bad that it like covered my
Mm.
car fully. And I was like, "Oh, this is not good for us." So
Yeah.
to your point though, y'all, some people don't understand how really terrifying it is to have to like choose what you're gonna bring with you, and like
Yeah.
knowing like you don't like in that moment like if you don't have a disaster preparedness plan,
It's so scary.
then it really is challenging to figure out, do I take this or this? What documents do I take? What clothes do I take? You know,
Yeah.
is you also realize, is this important to me or not? If it
Yeah.
goes into flames and stuff. So I'll have to say,
Mhm,
yeah.
and yeah, I've had to I was in that situation twice in my life. Back in 2003, there was the fire that happened in San Bernardino that got really, really close to where I lived. At the time, I was living on campus, and so the fire was literally, like, right up against my like, the rest hall that I was living in or the dorm that I was living in, and I could literally see the flames outside my window. And then in 2007, the same thing happened again, where there was another hill next to where I lived when I was in school, that had caught fire. Actually, someone had set that hill on fire, and it was a whole big to do. And so, again, just the thought of having to start all over, the thought of people who, specifically, I think about, I know this person has been pretty public about losing their home. Boz, I don't know if you watch Real Housewives of Beverly
Mhm.
Hills, but she had posted this long Instagram story basically about how basically her house was a safe haven for her as a black woman who worked in entertainment. And for her to wake up one day and for it to just be gone, and not knowing, what in that time that her house burnt down, not knowing what was happening. It's just something. So anyway, I don't want to rain, literally don't want to rain on anyone's parade. We need the rain. But I do want to say that, we definitely want to shout out those who are helping. And I'm going to talk more about that in my yes ma'am, talking about the people who are actually doing the work and helping and all of that when we get there. So just wanted to say it's not lost on us that we are recording at a time where it's really bleak for a lot of people. So anyway, in the tradition of celebrating our girl Tisha Campbell and the fact that we are still here, and a lot of us, my God, we have had to push to get here, my God. I wanted to ask, basically, simply, how was your holiday? Anything you did that you want to highlight or tell the listeners about? Christina Aguilera, Mi Reflejo style. Anything that happened in our time off that you kind of want to reflect on?
Okay, first of all, as you said that, I was just like, I mean, this is a possibly pause for Chris, but Tisha Campbell, we should invite Tisha Campbell.
You know what, babe?
Like,
Do it. Babe, I
we
want
should
you
invite
to
Tisha
invite
Campbell.
Tisha Campbell to the show to
Like
see if she'll actually come.
that would be a gag to us all.
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yes.
just had to, I was like, wait, hold up, because now we
Yes.
can.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
let me just reset myself.
Okay.
Mi reflejo, my aspirations in life. So this is a wild holiday. First, let me discuss some joy. We
Mm.
had Beyonce Bowl, and that was everything, I
I
must
did
say.
see that.
That was
Yes,
everything, I
yes.
must say.
Mhm.
Well, maybe not everything, but it was fantastic. What she gave us was fantastic.
It was
Do I
like,
wish she
yes,
gave us something different?
necessary.
A little bit, but what she gave us was fantastic and necessary. Well,
Mhm.
not all of it was necessary, honestly, but that, that was a joy. I don't care. IDK if you or some of the listeners remember this, but in 2016, our problematic queen, who's not really not my queen, really, I just love saying that, Kylie Jenner had talked about it being the year of realizing things. She said
Mhm.
it's just the year of realizing things, and I've been feeling that in my spirit lately. Actually, I feel like 2024 for me was a year of realizing things. I, as folks in my personal life know, I had a sibling who was newly returned from incarceration after 30
Mhm.
years,
Mm. Mhm. Yes,
which
yes.
was a really like it's been they have really had an incredible time adjusting to being out, which is,
Mhm.
I mean, that's like, it's amazing. Like recidivism, or like the process of going back to prison for the same crime you commit, or just even go back to the prison in general, is high for many folks. And he, unless they have a strong support system, and he feels so supported that like he's doing amazing. But when he came out, we've had a lot of conversations about our family,
Mm,
our family past and our dad, and so like I realized there's a lot this holiday was a lot of like realizing things, or learning things I did not know, that really shifted some things for me, which I'll share more as we get into the shift. I know you make a point about parents.
mm,
So it was an interesting holiday in that capacity. It was a great holiday in the sense of I got some good time off work, some good
mm.
time to like reset myself. I did a little vision boarding, so I really set some good intentions for this next year and really got to actualize. Was
I just laugh every time people are like, I said intentions. I'm like, come on, manifest it. It's manifestation time.
you
Yes.
know, you
Yes.
know,
Give me
I
some pepper.
carry I carry both the like I set intentions and also like, girl, what does that actually mean for you? Like,
Right. What
because
is
you
you doing?
like, I mean, because like you make plans and God laughs. So I'm like, my intentions could not mean shit. My intentions could not mean shit, but at least I set them for myself. Okay.
Not you said. I said intentions and God laughed. My
That's
God.
what happens.
Every time.
God be
Every
thinking shit's
time.
funny, and I'd be like, okay, could you
God
stop
be like,
laughing at
that's
me
cute,
after
girl.
the
That's
joke
real
is
cute.
I'm
I
done
see
with the
what you
joke
tried to
though.
do there.
God be thinking they're a stand-up comedian, and I'm like, you need to
Yeah.
calm down, girl.
Literally. Literally Kevin
Yeah.
Hart. I swear to God, God is Kevin Hart every time. I'll even say that, like, y'all know I'll be saying, how do I say this? So like it was funny because today when I was working out, I thought about that. I thought about how like I thought, okay, well, when I come back from vacation, when I come out from this break, I'm gonna go real hard with trying to get this book sold and blah 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 blah. And then the fucking fire happens, and I'm like,
Mhm.
God, can you not like? Can we stop already? Like the life is already hard for everybody at this point, and it's just sometimes you just feel like, okay, all right, I get it. I need to just let
That
me
part.
just do what I'm gonna do.
Mhm.
But I will say, kind of in the same vein, I think, reflecting has been a really big thing for me these last couple of weeks. As some of you may have known, I didn't share it super publicly, but folks around me that were very close, they know that I had a death in the family, literally right before we went on break, and so I genuinely didn't have a lot of time during the holiday break to really even like break, because right after Christmas, we went immediately into planning the memorial for said family member who passed away. And so I definitely want to give my family, specifically my husband, a lot of credit for how much time and effort and just for planning it. I think specifically, the idea of having to plan someone's memorial during a time when everyone is supposed to be really happy and really looking forward to seeing family, and then to learn that a family member is not there is really really hard. So I definitely wanted to say, like, shout out to everybody who helped keep me and my partner lifted during that time. But what I will also say is that I really appreciate how intentional everything felt. Like I'm glad it didn't feel rushed. It really felt like the day of the memorial that you could genuinely tell that folks had taken the time to really think about how they wanted to celebrate this person.
Mm.
And so that for me is what made me feel good. But to be honest, in all honesty, how just reflecting on 2024, how hard we worked, how some things happened and some things didn't. We had a really big plan to do a live show, and that kind of fell apart at the last minute. There was just there was a lot of time for me to sit back and go, okay, what do I want to do differently in 2025,
Mhm.
and specifically, what do I want to do differently in 2025? And like I think one of the biggest things that I took away from that time of reflection was basically saying, like, I don't have a lot of time to myself the way I want it, because I've given so much of my time up to do other things, whether it be working, whether it be taking care of family, whether it be trying to fit in friends and the needs of other people. And I told myself in 2025, I definitely want to put up the stop sign so much more and say, no, I really truly need to do this for me so I can take a break for myself. So I think
Mhm.
that that's what one of the reflecting pieces for me is, you don't have to be everything for everybody, and definitely being okay with that. So yeah, that's really what I all that I truly have per se. But yeah, with that being said, per usual, we have told Santa and all his elves that it's time for them to go to hell. So with that being said, we are going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to jump into a convo that I think might be salient for a lot of us, especially coming out of the holidays. A topic on the topic of forgiveness. We'll be back in a sec. Okay, y'all. So with me being the person who brought this up, like I said, when me and Joho were sitting around and we were talking about what did we want to come back into, or how did we want to start the year in 2025 with our first show of the year, the topic of forgiveness came up, and I wanted to get into something that I think I don't, girl, have we touched on this topic before? I don't think we have in the deep dive that we're going to today, right?
After 130 episodes, who's to say we haven't, and who's to say we
Girl,
have?
who's to know? Right.
All
Who
we
is
know
to
is that
know?
the body work is long, and we can always talk
Amen.
about it again because it's our show.
The body of work is long. I know that's right. Well, either way, if we have talked about it before, yay. Y'all have something y'all can go back to and listen to before you listen to this. If we haven't, then this is new for all of us. But I think one of the things that we have to think a lot about, specifically with just the way that the world is going, and how quickly things can take shape and turn and all of that. I really wanted to get into a conversation about people and folks specifically who like to circle the block. More specifically, this conversation around forgiveness, I bring it up because in the last few months of, announcing that, our show has won awards, and announcing the fact that I have a book coming out, and, all of these really cool things that I feel like has happened around not only just this show, but for both me and Joho. People see me more than they have in the last few years. And then, so with that being said, with folks seeing me and seeing the stuff I'm doing, they'll jump into the DMs and they'll say, "Hey girl, I would love to reconnect," or "Hey girl, it's really good to see that you're doing well, let's chat, let's connect." Um and I was like, I don't know how I feel about this. And then I was
Mhm.
going to go on this really long rant online about it. And then I was like, you know what? I'll just save this for a show episode. So that way it could actually be something that can be more nuanced, because I feel like sometimes when you rant online, folks can't really understand you. Like, there's
Yeah.
no context to the content, right? And so I was like, I'll just save it for my good sis, and we can have a good, kiki about it, and we can really talk about our thoughts on the mic. And so I wanted to ask you, specifically knowing that you are a super empathic person, I was like, let me ask my good Judy, how do we navigate? How do we talk about forgiveness? But I didn't want to just talk about forgiveness on a very like platonic or of a very surface level conversation. I wanted to do it in two parts. So I wanted to talk about forgiveness for family and acquaintances, or for friends and acquaintances. And then I wanted to jump into family. So
Mhm.
wanted to kind of get your thoughts, like, how do you, the great empathic one, how do you kind of approach forgiveness as a concept? And then how does it look for you when you're navigating it from both of those vantage points?
This is a tough question to be asking a Libra because Libras love harmony and love to please people. But as a Capricorn moon and rising, I also love I'm very sturdy and rooted in like what I believe is right and my values of justice
Mm,
and such. And so I think forgiveness as a concept to me is never about the other person. It's always about myself. There are many cases which I am very much of the mind of forgive, don't forget. But I also think I think it depends on the ways in which I've been wounded by a person or by a thing.
okay.
Right? Because
Okay. Yep, that's
because,
real.
like, there's levels to this shit. There's levels
Right.
to, like, what is there to forgive? I think to your point about nuance is important in what happened that you have to forgive something for, so it needs to be forgiven for. Some
Mhm,
people
mhm.
seek forgiveness so they can feel absolved, and I'm like, I am not. I'm not your god girl. You gotta take that with the big G upstairs if you want to feel absolved. That's not that. I mean, like
Not
that's
the upper room.
really. I mean, I'm just saying, like,
Mhm.
I think of it right, like Jewishly on Yom Kippur, which is the Day of Atonement. You can ask somebody 3 times to forgive you for something. And if they don't forgive you, God's like, no, girl, I got you. Like you commune with God, and God's like, girl, I got you instead.
Yeah.
Because you can't ask them to forgive you and expect them to do so. Um, I think what I am curious about, for you is when someone's like, "Oh, hey, girl, I see you're making it. And I want to connect with you." I think I'm curious of like, what is that you feel like you have to forgive them for, right? Did they wound you in the past, and now they're trying to come up on
Yeah.
your come up,
Yeah.
or is it just someone that you like lost touch with, and and yes, like they see you doing better, they see you doing more now, and they want to, some people, I think, also, like, I think sometimes when these things happen, we automatically assume people's intentions are like, oh, they're trying to get on the bag with me,
Yeah.
and like, let's be real, it happens, like it definitely
Right.
is,
Yeah.
it does happen, and sometimes like timing just aligns in a way of they're saying like, I know you're successful and I see you more,
Right.
and it made me realize that I want to see you more in my life, and like, and I your success isn't what's drawing me to you. It's just that it's you yourself and
Yeah,
such.
that's fair. That's
So
fair.
yeah, so I would say that's kind of how I view it with friends and acquaintances. I would say families are a different story that we can get into, in a bit. But I think friends and family are people, that you
Mm.
may not see often. I think that's
Mhm.
how I approach it, and then again, like recognizing that if this is like a colleague in the field or a friend or whatever, if they wounded me and like hurt
Yeah.
me in
Can
some
you get
way,
over the wound? Yeah.
I think it's not so much like, can I get over the wound, because the wound will always be there, right? Like the wound will
Okay.
always be there. It will heal and maybe scar it.
Can we move
It'll scar it.
past the wound?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
And I think for me it's like but to me it's more like, c can I feel good about being in space or community with the person who gave me this scar? And can I
Well,
and can I say like,
yes.
"Oh, girl, like,
Mhm.
you gave me a scar and that's okay. I'm willing to risk that again," because everything you do with people is gonna be a risk, right? Like, you never
Right,
actually
right,
know who will hurt you, right? Like, all you do is trust, right? Like, at the end of the day, truly, listeners, John and I never know if we'll ever hurt each other. We trust that we won't, right? Like, I
right,
trust John has their back, John trusts that I have their back, right? And,
right,
and all,
right.
all we can do is show each other that in real time. And so if that happens with somebody that hurts you, I think we also have to think, am I willing to be vulnerable again with this person, and be
Mhm.
wounded? And then sometimes, okay,
Mhm.
the answer is like, no, girl, no. Like, that wound was too deep. That cut was too much. So F you, ho. And there, it's also okay to be like, no, it's good. I think for me, I'm the person where I would rather just like, I'd rather move through it, because I really can move past anything, because at the end of the day, nobody affects me more than me, is how I feel sometimes.
Okay, that's real. That's actually I appreciate you saying that. I feel like we oftentimes are the ones who hurt ourselves more than anybody, but you make a really good point because I actually didn't even think about it from that idea. I thought about it from the scope of, okay, this person did me dirty by cutting me off and now they're trying to come back. Can I forgive them for cutting me off the way that they did or for
Mm,
just kind of
mhm,
leaving me out in the cold? And that might be my Leo mind. That could be the way that my Leo heart is, how it moves, but I appreciate you saying like did someone do something to me that wounded me? And to a degree too, I'm sure that there are listeners who probably are listening to this episode and saying, yeah, having somebody like just kind of like cut you off or leave you out in the cold is a wound, right? Like that's
mhm,
something that could potentially hurt someone,
mhm,
especially when you like for instance with me, like I think a big part of this conversation comes from too, like some of the people who have tried to circle the block on me were people that I truly vulnerable with, and that I told
mm,
them a lot. They knew a lot about me. They knew a lot about my lived experience when I'm not a person who feels like I open up to people that easy. Like there were still people, like I shared something at work this week and people were like, I never knew that about you. And I've worked with you for 5 years. And I'm like, yeah, you'll never know. I don't tell just because I come off as a very public person doesn't mean I'm telling you everything.
Mhm.
And so I think that that's something that when I share something with someone or when I even call someone a friend, I think about it from, I don't really play. And that's the other part that kind of lives in this conversation. And I know we're probably tangenting and going everywhere, but where we've meant to go. But I also will say too, like, I take friendship so seriously because I don't believe I have a lot of friends, right?
Mhm.
Associates, yes, there are people in this industry that I know and people, but anyone who's ever been to my home, anyone who has my phone number, anyone that I has my address and I tell them y'all can you're open to come stay in my home. That's a different level for me because I don't just invite anybody in my home. I don't invite
Mhm.
everybody's energy into my space. And so I think I treat friendship so, especially acquaintances who have turned into friends. I would say that about you. Like you were someone I saw at work every day and you became a friend of mine. You became my sister. And so, I take what we have so much more serious than just, oh, that's my podcasting buddy. That's the person that I no, you're my sister. I'm on the mic with you every week. We're chatting, we're talking, like I'm going to you about some really serious stuff. And so I think, when we come back to this conversation around forgiveness, sometimes for me, because it stings and because it hurts so deep when a person kind of, cuts me off per se, it
Mhm.
does feel like a wound in a lot of ways. But you bring up a really good point around this idea of, like I said, us being wounded. And I often too will say, even thinking about it from the conversation I had at work this week, we were talking about healing work and doing some deep intentional healing work. Sometimes
Mhm.
we don't recognize that some of the things that people do to us will reflect stuff that happened to us in our past and or in our childhood and how that triggers stuff. And I think, I'll be transparent in saying and talking about forgiveness and specifically forgiving people who, like, quote unquote, circle the block. I know that I have abandonment issues. Like I know that
Mhm.
I have dealt with friends and family who have just, especially when I came out, that just stopped talking to me.
Mhm.
And how that shows up. And so that's why I take friendships so seriously, because it's like, I've had to like relearn how to trust people in a certain way. And
Mhm.
when you just kind of like dip out or when you kind of just cut me off, it opens up that wound of abandonment that I've been trying to heal ever since I was a kid. But yeah, we could go on for days about that. But I like I said, I really appreciate you mentioning it from that vantage point or from that
I
point.
I also just wanna say, like, I've just to a point, like, you made a comment of, like, about being a Leo, and people will tell you it's not worth it to get your lip back, but I can't say I can't say that's true. Like, li I may not do the person to get my lick back, but I also don't I would never say that it's not good for somebody. Like, I think, right, 'cause to me, like, I'm all about karmic energy, so, like, shit
Yeah.
balances out, right? Like, if you get your lip back, don't endanger someone's life, but you get your lip back, girl, and then you just been good for somebody else, like, work. I think
It worked.
I'll be clear, I'm not condoning anybody to go and, like, attack somebody, I'm not condoning that, right? I'm not condoning, like, go and, like, revenge somebody, but, what I'm saying is, sometimes, like, people make decisions that hurt you, and sometimes there are consequences for those decisions, if like, to a point about forgiveness. Like sometimes forgiveness for yourself means looks like getting your lip back in some way. And like, who am I to stop you
Mm.
from that, girl? I think we're all complex people. I know some people are like, Jordan, Joe, I can't believe you'd say that on air, but like, because it's like unlike me, but
It's
that's just not the
very
person that
yeah.
that's that's
Mhm.
that's that's just like not who I am, right? Like I don't need to do that to feel forgiveness for myself. I don't need to do
Right.
that. But like if
Mhm.
someone does, I'm not trying I'm not gonna stop them from doing what helps them heal.
Right.
As long as that lick back actually helps you heal.
Right.
Most times people will find it does not help them heal.
And it doesn't.
It's only for like a temporary enjoyment. But
Yeah.
like, sometimes having the last laugh can. Now don't try it on me, girl, because I will lick back. Okay.
You said, try God or try Jesus, but don't try me. I know
Listen,
that's
try
right.
Jesus, try Moses, try
Yes, you can
Miriam,
try all 12 of the
anybody in the
apostles, but
Bible.
don't try
Don't
me.
try me.
Absolutely not. No, so I know we could go on for days about talking about the friendships and all of that, but I was gonna say a big part of this and where this comes from. And so I'm almost God, I'm so scared to go here, but I'm going
Mm,
to because this is the podcast that we have. A big part of this conversation comes from an actual family member who
mhm.
has circled the block and yes, did some dirt to not only just me but but other folks in my family. Um and has been really trying to play this whole kind of like, oh, I'm really glad to see that. It's kind of like a one, it's like a both and, right? So I've had friends
Yeah.
do it, but now seeing family do it and knowing what this family member has done. And this family member might even listen to the show. And so if they do, shout out to you. I always think about too, something my therapist told me that, sometimes people are like, oh, I'm so afraid to share, or talk about this person, because I don't want them thinking that, you know, I don't want this person knowing that I think this way about them. And the way my therapist framed it for me, and I talk about this in my book too, is well, maybe they should have treated you better. And I think
Therapist had some words and points were made.
points were made. And so to get to where I'm going, I've been thinking so much about this because as I'm getting older and as this family member is also getting older, and knowing that this family member hurt both me and some other folks in my family, and going out on a limb and saying that, I'm going to leave this person anonymous. You can see the show notes, so you know who I'm
Yes,
talking
yes,
about,
yes, yes.
but
Yes.
I'm going to leave this person anonymous. But this person just they 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 were very, how do I say this? Because I've been trying to stop using the word. Someone had mentioned that calling somebody, what's the word you call someone when they're really self-absorbed?
Narcissistic?
Narcissistic. Someone was saying that that's a problematic word because are they truly narcissistic, or do they just know how to get their do they know how to get their needs met? So that's something I was like, oh, I never really thought about that, right? Like manipulative was also the word. Someone was like, are they really manipulative? Are they really narcissistic, or do they just know how to get their needs met? Okay,
Hold
so
on. Who said that to you? Who said that to you? It was not a therapist. Respectfully,
it
shut up.
wasn't a therapist. It
Respectfully,
wasn't a
shut up. There's
therapist,
no.
but it was somebody who said that. But I say all of that to say, now when we
Interesting.
get to family, I think that it's different because sometimes I'll specifically say this: watching my partner lose their parents in real time and knowing one of my parents is not my favorite person has made me feel guilty that I haven't forgiven my father the way that I should forgiven my father, for forgiving some of my uncles, forgiving some of my cousins
Mm,
for a lot of the stuff that they said and did to me growing up. And so I
mm,
guess I wanted to kind of like not necessarily come here for validation, but kind of just get another person's voice on like,
yeah.
how do you deal with forgiveness when it's a little bit more personal?
So okay, first the person that said, because I said I don't mean it when I say respectfully shut up, but I will say respectfully.
Fuck you. No,
Like
just kidding. Go off.
like I hear what
Boo.
but some man out, like I hear what they're saying.
Yes.
So like I hear they're saying
Yeah.
like, but like I get I would say to that point, right? Like if they got their needs met, but at what cost? Like if their needs had to be met through tearing
Mm,
others down or
mm.
hurting others, narcissism to me. If their needs
See.
had to be met through making others do something else, manipulation. Like I think that like there's a difference to their point between narcissism, manipulation, and getting your needs met. But like
Yeah.
if you get your needs met means that you have to down other people, I don't think that's actually a good way to get your needs met
Right.
personally.
Right.
Um so just want to put that on that. You bring up something that's actually very like applicable to my life at present in a bit of a different way because I'm reckoning with like a past thing right now.
Hmm.
So I'll share like I mentioned earlier with my sibling who was released from incarceration.
Mm,
I've learned some stuff about my dad of blessed memory. Um, something more things that he had did, and
mm,
through therapy I've been covering some like how some of my behaviors are actually part of like my upbringing with him as a parent.
yeah.
I mean, with both my parents in some ways, but like with my dad as a parent. and it's hard, and like it's hard for me because I'm like having to reckon with it, right, like retrospectively, because he's not here anymore for me to talk about it with. He's not here anymore for me to like process with, right? I don't, and no, I can't process like no other sibling. Like we all had different experiences, and we had some similar ones, but this one is like, like I don't like it. To me, like it's my experience, and so like I can't. There's no way for me to like process it with him.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
so I'm working through like my lens of like forgiveness, because if I take just my experience, like, and it's something that I've actually thought about this a lot of therapy, like I'm just at to a place now where I've realized that like two things, like these things can be true at the same time with my dad. That like
Yeah.
he was a very affectionate parent and showed me a lot of what he believed was like lovingness as a parent.
Mm.
And he also was
Wasn't shit. Got you.
he also wasn't sure. Like,
Right, right.
because what do you mean I'm with you at your drug dealer's house every week?
Right, right.
When like you're off in the back room doing drugs, I'm in his front room with his katanas, or I'm left out in the car for an
Yeah,
hour, like
yeah.
like somewhere in an area that I don't feel safe in,
Right.
and I'm like 10 years old, right?
Mhm.
So it's like I realize now that I've realized recently that I actually have never I don't often feel physically safe in many places.
Mm.
Um, like, I'm the type of person where if I come into your house and your house is unlocked, girl, we have a problem. If you don't have 2 front door, if you don't have a screen door and like a lock screen, a metal door and a front door together, we have a problem. Like, what do you mean you only have 1 door that with 1 lock? Girl, I have 4 locks in my house growing up. What do you mean?
Right,
And
right.
so like and that a lot of it is because like when my dad was not home, which was often, I felt unsafe. That someone
Mm.
could come and hurt us because people would be on our doorstep at 2 a.m. knocking on our windows
Yeah.
because of him. And or like and so it leads to like feelings of dissafety or like not feeling secure in places that I live in, because what if what if someone's gonna be at our door trying to kill us or something?
Mhm, mhm.
And like, which is dramatic in some ways, but I'm like, oh wow, this is really real shit that I'm uncovering currently. And so I think right now I have to reckon with like I'm mad at him in ways that I didn't think about when I was younger, and didn't have the language to, right? I didn't have the language to understand that all the things I had were a part of my anxiety that I now
Mm.
have, like, that I
Mhm.
now understand as an adult.
Yeah.
But like, but it's like I can't tell him, I can't be like, damn it, dad, you did this to me. But I have to, and so it's my point about forgiveness is for myself, not for him. I have to, like, I want to forgive him because I know that he didn't get the tools that he had to be a good parent. Like,
Right.
at the day, like this man, when he was 16, 17, he was shot at by his own grandparent. He
Mm.
was shot by his own grandparent and by his own dad. Like, he was not given the tools to be a successful
Right,
parent
right, right,
or
right,
a
right.
effective parent to me or to any of his children.
And that's what I revel with, that a lot of times it's like, that whole saying of hurt people hurt people. That is
Yeah.
something that I've been trying to think a lot about as I process like what forgiveness looks like for me as I get older.
And so
That
I
there
think
Yeah, go
no,
ahead.
sorry, sorry. It's like I think the person, right, who's trying to come back into your life, you know, time changes everything. You're getting older, they're getting older. And so I wonder if it's not so much about right, like if you weren't quote unquote successful, would they still be doing this, right? And if they
Mhm,
were, it might be more about they're older and they realize I wasn't present and I want to change that now.
mhm.
And it's not that I'm seeing you successful and like buying a reading a book, but it's like I'm seeing you be joyful. I'm seeing you and your loved ones be joyful, and I've realized that you're
I'm
joyful
missing out on that.
in
Yeah.
spite of what I've done, and I realized that I want to be a part of that, and I want to help add to that now.
S
Maybe
but
it
the
could also
right.
be
It
that.
could right, and you're right, and I love that you have that perspective, but I would also say, like, I think in this conversation, and it's not even about me, like, I think about what you just shared with me about your own, your father passing and the stuff that you learned and the feelings that you have, like, sometimes this idea of how hard it is for you to feel like folks are deserving of forgiveness. And so I guess that's kind of like the because we're so limited on time, we can't like super dive into. We'll probably have to come back to this topic again. But I think that that's something that I want our listeners to like hear and to really kind of like sit with, is this idea that while both me and Joho are sitting here and we're kind of talking about this nuanceness around forgiveness, that each of you have there's an element of validation around, you get to forgive the way you want to forgive, right?
Mhm,
So whether
mhm.
the person is alive for you to forgive them, or that person has gone on to, to glory, and you want to forgive them for what they did, you have the right to do that. If the person is still living and you sit with this idea of it's fuck you forever, girl, I'm never gonna get over what you said or did to me, right? Like you have the right, and I appreciate you sharing your perspective of the way that you do, Joho, because it often gives that. Like there's this element of autonomy in how we get to
Mhm.
forgive and how we get to grow with these really difficult and tough conversations. And so with that being said, I don't know if there's anything else. I just appreciate you being so Virgin Mary with all of your stuff.
Not Virgin Mary, stop.
You just be giving
Put me on one of them candles
Mother Teresa.
with my hands like this, a little hood on me, like
Jewish Mother
yeah.
Teresa, girl. But no, real, it's real, because
Thank
I think
you.
so many of us are, as like I said, we're all getting older. We're seeing the world change so quickly, and some of us feel guilty that we're like not wanting to forgive people for what they've done to us, or that we're not easy. I think that's what this conversation is. It's like how some people are so easy to forgive others for
And
what they've
mhm.
done, and how some of us aren't. I'm not that girl like once you do me dirty, it's curtains. It's real hard for me to come back to want to actually be real cool with you after you've done me dirty. And
You kn mm.
so
You
yeah.
know, I think what I can leave on is I think that's a lot, because like my sister and I talk about this quite often, because she's also the type to be like, you do me dirty once, girl, it's a chop for me, and she has you and her would get along.
A
You have that
one.
confidence.
Oh, I know your sister.
This is good.
One. You've gotten a one, and is a
Like
chop.
one, and that's
Yes.
it. You know, and
Hmm.
like her, she's like, talked to me sometimes like about being like a pushover, right? And I think I just, to me, it's a few things. Everyone in here, if I believe in a free world, like the way that I believe it, then I also believe, whether it's good or bad, that everyone deserves forgiveness. I believe
Mm.
that everyone now I believe everyone deserves forgiveness, and in that same vein, everyone deserves to give it or not. Like everyone deserves the autonomy to say, I give it to you or
Amen.
not. So like
Amen.
you may deserve forgiveness, girl, but that don't mean that you'll get it. And if you don't get it, that's on you to figure out what happened.
I just keep
Like
hearing Anyala. Is that something that you want? Yes. Well, you're not gonna get it.
oh, period. And that's how she got her lick back. That's what I'm saying, right? Like, you're not gonna get it. And so, I think it's
Yes.
definitely very much like
Hmm.
I view it in that way. And then I also see it like, truly, it's like, what that person did to me didn't destroy me. No weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Amen.
Like, so like, like, I'm cool. Like I I forgive what they thought was going to destroy me. It did not. Like,
So I'm
no,
Gucci in this bitch. Yes.
still I rise. Okay.
Hmm.
Nevertheless, I like dust I rise. Like this is stuff to me. This is stuff to me that, like, that's my scripture, right? That's the stuff that I will
Right.
pick back up when it happens and say, no, it's still like dust I rise, girl. Like, it's not about me being a pushover. It's acknowledging, like, you actually don't have the power of me to like make me hurt that bad.
That
Like,
part. That part. That's real.
that shot you took
That's real.
wasn't the shot you thought it was, girl.
Yeah.
And I'm good.
You
Like,
thought you had a gun, but it was a bow and arrow, girl.
I'm saying, if that bitch, it was a stick. It was a stick. Okay. It was a
You
stick,
thought you
girl.
had an arrow, bitch. It was a stick. Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's real.
don't make me bring my 45 out my bag.
Hello.
I don't have one. I don't have
I
one. You know,
keep
I
I
don't have
done
one.
neither do I.
I
We
truly
may
hate
need
guns,
to
would
get
never.
one.
But listen, when Beyonce said, I just entered the country with Derringers, I was like, no, I feel a girl, because I'm Karens returning to
Yes, with
terrorists.
the way things are going these days,
Okay.
we may want to get us a little 22 to keep in our cute little Louis bags, girl. Cause The way this world is going, my God, my God. But yes, you
Whew.
said a word. You said a
Thank
word.
you. Thank you. Okay. So now y'all have to forgive. I mean, you don't have to forgive us. You can choose not to forgive us, but we hope you will forgive us because we got to stand on business and take a quick break. We will be back shortly. Okay, fam, we are back, and this week we want to start this section off by acknowledging this topic might be heavy, and want to put a trigger warning on it because it's about ideation and self harm. So, for those who might find it too much, we will attempt to put chapters in like the show notes, so you can skip to the yes ma'am and no ma'am Pams and skip this part. Um, and if you want to stay here, I'm glad you're with us as well to talk about this.
Mhm,
So, with that, I wanted to ask Jean, and I want to be clear, y'all. I'm not just asking John this like out of nowhere. John's okay with me asking this before y'all like,
mhm,
excuse me, girl. Like, I know that you've danced on topic on the show before,
mhm.
and you've recently mentioned it offline. So, with all that is coming down the pipeline in America and the world, how are you navigating your ideation currently?
Yeah. Woo, not you put me on blast. I'm just kidding. No, I very much so. Again, we vet every single topic that we talk
Someone's
about
like,
on
I
the
can't believe
show.
you asked that so
No.
brazenly in the show. Like, girl, it's a show now. Calm
No.
down.
Yeah, I'm like, "We got show notes. This was vetted. We like this. We cleared this." No, it's good. I mention it because I don't know if you all like. I mean, obviously you're going to talk about it later, but we've seen an uptick, and I don't know if it's I don't
Mhm.
know if it's media is just covering it more, but I'm feeling like we're seeing more influencers who are unaliving themselves. We're seeing more and more people talk about the want to unalive themselves, or even people talking about, like I remember just posting about something and someone saying like, yeah, it was actually a friend of mine, she had posted something and then someone responded to her and said, I literally just went to my doctor last week and asked them to up my dosage so that way I could, I could basically just function. Um, and I just appreciate, like, I think it's imperative that, we don't just talk about the fun and we don't talk about the stuff that makes us laugh on this show, that we talk about, stuff that's real for us. And one of it is that
Mhm.
there are people who are living with suicidality and ideation. And I'm one of those people. And I think that there's so much shame that's connected to this topic. And I know that we could go for hours talking about it. But I think for me, the one thing I will say that I wanted to point out is, I've gotten to a point where I've had to kind of plan how I'm going to lead my life, right? The intentional things. And so, like I've tweeted before, if you need medication, get on medication. If you need someone to talk to, find someone to talk to. If you don't have medical coverage to get medication or to talk to someone, find someone who can help you find the coverage that you need to get it carried. There are a lot of people out there, especially now with everything that's going on, that are offering, low cost, if not free, help,
Mhm.
right? Whether it be through, Planned Parenthood, or whether it be through, and there are multitudes of
Your
resources,
local
and
queer center.
queer center, yeah, an
Mhm.
LGBTQ center. You could, some colleges you can
Mhm.
go to their, college and say, hey, I'm dealing with this thing and I know I'm not a student here, but do you know of any resources? I even know in my organization, like, we have an actual, like, if you're a person listening to this and you just need some help, I have a resource through my job that can point you to bigger and longer resources to help you get what you
Mhm.
need, right? So I think the biggest part is just kind of reaching out and saying, yo, I need some help. I think that's the first thing, is letting folks that
Mhm.
that you love know that you need some help. But also on top of that, too, being okay with doing the work to get better. And I think oftentimes people think with ideation and suicidality, like, people just think you wake up one day and it's like, oh, it's gone. And it's like, no, girl, like, I'm having to do things day in and day out to remind myself that I have a life to live and that I deserve to be here. And I think that's been the biggest thing that has really kept me from going to the upper room and and staying here, is waking up and saying, no, I have a reason to be here. Like, every day I wake up is the universe's way of reminding me you have a purpose to be here. So the realest answer that I have for you is knowing that my existence is resistance, and being
Mhm.
okay with that, and really saying, like,
Mhm.
me being here is encouraging other queer people to be here. Um And that even if they're going to continue to keep trying to make this world hell, then hell, I'll just act up with you, right? Like I'm gonna do just as much as you want me gone is just as much as I want to be here. And we just gonna have to we gonna have to, some one of us is gonna win, and it's gonna be me, right? I think that's really how I look at it. But I definitely do want to say, like, as someone who wakes up every day with being like, you do know that the want to die could come back, girl. It's definitely reaching out. And I will say this too. I had put this in my notes and I forgot to say it. There's a part of me that also recognizes too that, while I'm not a person who has ever gotten to a place where I actually like did it, I've never had a full plan. I am a person who fully understands it. And I want to validate that too, that there are people who might be listening to this and may say, it's more than just saying, oh, I have a right to be here and I want to live. No, like it's deeper. It's a lot of soul searching. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of energy. There are going to be hard days where you genuinely feel like, why me? Why did this brain get put in my head to feel like I want to not be here every day? Like there's all of these different pieces, but I think the bigger part for me personally is just by saying, like, by me staying here, I think that's the thing that keeps me here. By me staying here, I'm encouraging other people to stay here, and that's enough for me to want to stay here, if that makes
Mm,
sense.
mm.
Hmm.
It makes perfect sense, and as you're speaking, it made me think of, because I was telling you that there is someone that I follow who unalived themselves recently, and like
Hmm.
I think like the point of like wanting to stay here is such a it's like such a challenging one, because I think like in almost every post I see where someone allows themselves, right? They always apologize for it. Uh,
Hmm.
which like, to me is like what breaks my heart a lot. Is like everyone's sorry. Like they say, like I'm sorry I wasn't strong enough, or I'm sorry that I did this, right? Or I'm sorry that I hurt you. And it makes me sad, because I think like, how did we as people around you let you get to that point where
Mm,
you we're not only that you'd harm yourself, but that you'd apologize for it.
mm,
That you have like even in death, you're still being apologetic for how
mhm,
you lived, and that makes me really sad.
mhm.
And in that same vein, right, the people who are like, I have work to do here still. Well, let me rephrase the phrase. 'Cause I don't think everyone needs to like don't stay here just because you have work to do, right?
Right.
Like stay here for
'Cause
yourself,
you
because
yeah,
you
you deserve
want
to
to
be
be
here.
here.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
ex- exactly, because you deserve to be here. And I think that's like, I wish I wish we were told that more by people around us.
yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
like I believe in my with my full spirit that we all deserve to be here.
We do. We
Even
do.
if we don't agree on things, right? Even if one person, like, even if we hate the person who's our president, right? Like
Uh,
everyone deserves to be here.
for
What
now. But yeah, go
for
off.
better
Go off.
for better or for
Mhm.
worse. Better for worse,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Yeah, but like but it's true, like I would, and like, and it's like it's like the voice of the monster around you is louder than the voice of like the joys around you, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
You can tell the truth and shame the devil, but the devil will be loud as fuck sometimes.
Some girl, the loudest person in
The
the room, and that's
That's the first
that's
room.
the trick. The trick is really to get, how do you get that sound, that voice to turn down? Or how do you, kind of, I've always said it for me is, I've always looked at it as a figure, like a figurative person, right? And it's gender nonconforming. It's not male or female. It's a physical being that oftentimes will knock at my door and will like wave to me in the window of like, hey girl, let me in. And I have done the work to look around and go, you're not welcome here. Like, you ain't, you like, for me, it's you have a stay away order, right? Like, that I went down to the court and I got what do they call it, a restraining
In
order.
order.
I got a restraining order on you, girl. You ain't supposed to be
You can't be
here.
within 100 feet of me, girl. You gotta step back.
Why are you at my door? Like, you ain't you. And so that's how I've had to learn to, like, that's how I've learned to work through it, is to look at this figure through a window and say, you don't deserve to be here, right? Like, you're not going to come in and
No,
disturb this peace that I have. And it's
nobody's
hard.
supposed to be here.
Nobody. And sometimes I'll hear it shaking the door handle. I'll hear her with her keys trying to figure out how to get in. And I have to turn that down. I'll have to turn that inner voice down to say that is not gonna, like, it can't win. Like, you have so much more to do. And I want to make it very clear that I do recognize that it's not this simple for everybody, and that there's nothing wrong with someone saying I was not. And I know some may take issue with this. Some people may say I'm not strong enough to deal with this, so I'm out of here. That's okay too,
Mm,
right? Like, it's okay if a person feels like I just this journey isn't for me. This journey wasn't for me. I was not strong enough to handle it. I got to get up out of here. That's okay, because you know what? This shit is hard.
yeah.
Being being I'll say being anybody is hard, but I think
Mhm.
specifically living in this living in this plot line of America 2.0 is hard. And I can see why people would say I'm up out of here. But I think it is very imperative to recognize too that, like you said, we all deserve to be here. And I think that's something I want. I don't know who's listening may need to hear it, but that's what I tell myself every day, in order for me not
Mm.
to let that voice in, or to let that figure in, if that makes sense.
Mm. I
So
laugh because it I laugh a little bit because what you said sound like this season of America is gonna be rough. So like buckle up for the season finale. It's in 4 years, but this season's gonna be rough.
my
Um,
God, my God. But
but
at the same time, we can laugh about it, because I think that this is also, and this is what I've been saying to people, it's related, but it's not related. I think a big part of what we're going to have to do in order for us to get through these next 4 years is we're going to have to lean on each other more than
mhm.
we've ever leaned on each other before.
Amen.
We've
Amen.
got to find our communities. We have got to
Mhm.
find our podcasts. We have got to find our people. We've got to find our family, whether
Mhm.
it be real family you want to reconnect with because you've forgiven them for whatever, or they've forgiven you for whatever, and you want to
Mhm.
reconnect and rebuild. Like, there's going to be a lot of intentionality that we're going to have to do in order for us to support and to live through these
Yeah.
next 4 years. And again, I want us to live a long, bountiful life, but I think it's very imperative for folks to know that it's not without struggle, right?
Yeah.
Like, nothing that we're up against in the next 4 years is going to be without, and even longer. It could be longer. Who knows, right? Like,
Yeah.
some of our lives may be maybe a struggle for the rest of our time here. Who knows? But I know for me, a big part of me saying, like, it won't be me who gets me up out of here. But that's
Yeah.
how I see it. Like, and again, not shaming those who have. I want to make that very clear that Dr. Higgins is not shaming anybody for whatever they do, because again, choices. We are all people who have the right choice. I'm
Mhm.
just saying, as for me and mine, it will not be me who gets me up out of here.
Mhm. Mm.
So that being said, with this being one of our heaviest episodes,
Whew.
I promise it won't always be that way. We are going to take a breath. We are going to take a break. We're going to pay some bills, and then we're going to come back and have some fun with Yes Ma'am and No Ma'am Pam. More in a sec. All right, everybody. So we're coming back. Our last segment, our Yes Ma'am and No Ma'am Pam. This is for those of you who are new to the show, who may have found us over the break. No, Yes Ma'am and No Ma'am Pam is basically where we either give people their flowers or we hit them with them. And with that being said, this week we're going to just start off. Mine are very quick and very straight to the point. This week I wanted to give my yes ma'am, just to the ways that I see people coming together to support those who have
Mm.
lost so much, whether it be from the fires, whether it be from just like I've even saw people, trying to make sure that families who had lost their jobs before the holiday had a good holiday. Like, I feel a sense of there's a lot of quote unquote, and I hate using this word, dividedness. There's a lot of
Mm.
dividedness, but I feel like I've watched, specifically Black people, I've seen a lot of people come together in so many different ways in the last couple of weeks. And I'm like, that's what's up. Specifically, like I said, with these fires, Does it piss me off that it feels like it has to take something terrible for us to come together in community? Yes. But what I will say is, like, I appreciate getting emails and seeing companies say, hey, we recognize you're going through a tough time. We want to support you. We want you to know that you're seen and that you're valued. And, we don't want to make this time harder for you. So anybody who's doing anything that they can to support others, specifically, not only just around the fires, but in general, my hat is off to you. Now, my no man Pam, like I said, it's a very quick one. My no man Pam is going to be the Tesla owners, and not specifically because Elon Musk is trash. We all know that. I wanted to say no man Pam to Tesla owners because there's just there's a certain, you know what, je ne sais quoi. There's a certain type of person who often drives a Tesla,
Yes.
and
Yes,
they
there is.
make being on the road hell, from the way that they park to the way that they like dart through people in and out of it. Like, you're not the only one. Like, even yesterday I had to go to the mall to exchange something, and this Tesla person, like this Tesla driver, jumped in front of me, and I'm like, girl, you are not the only person in the parking lot. Like, can you not? Like, it's just, again, I don't want to generalize Tesla drivers, but there is just a certain something about certain Tesla drivers that really makes me want to jump out of my character, and have to use bail money. There's just something
Yeah.
about them. Like, baby, you're not the only person on the road. Knock it off. What about you, sis?
Whew, girl. I have a lot to get through today. So my yes, ma'am, is gonna be a both and, okay?
Okay.
Because it's a yes and a no. Meta announced recently that they're rolling back their third party fact checking policies, as I'm sure you all know.
Mm-hmm.
That's obviously a no. It's a chop for me on that one because
Right.
why would you do that? It's
Mm-hmm.
a yes. It's a yes. I put yes, mama in the show message. So yes, mama. It's a yes, ma'am, to people
Mm-hmm.
who are signing up to do the community notes, who are committed to making information factual. Like, when I
Okay.
saw the policies, I said, let me join the wait list to be a part of the community notes program, because if that's what we're gonna do, then like I want to trust that like I can be somebody who's helping actually give factual information on things.
Right.
And I know some folks who have also signed up or are trying to be part of that program to
Mm-hmm.
say, if y'all gonna give us third party fact checkers, then we will take power to our own hands and become actual fact checkers too. And I think that's amazing. I love to see community coming together in that way. Now, my no man pants are related to the fires.
My God, girl, you got a laundry list.
So, okay,
I'm
my
screaming.
first one.
Mhm.
If you are in danger, please,
Go
girl,
home. Get
please
out. Go. Leave.
stop filming
Please.
yourself while in immediate danger.
Mm.
I do not need to see you scrambling to get stuff together and then kissing your home goodbye.
Mm-mm.
I need you to get out. I need you to leave. I need you to flee. Give me
Influencer
an update
culture.
once you're safe. Influencer culture. The
Yep.
amount of people, and let me really clear. Like, I I'm not happy that these people went through this. I'm not. Like, this is heartbreaking to
I
go
don't
through.
believe that at all. I don't believe
Like,
you're saying that.
yeah, girl, if you're in danger, I need to see you being with your phone all the way out, being like, "Hey,
Get ready
y'all,
with me while I
the house is burning
evacuate.
down." I'm like,
Mhm.
literally, someone was like, "Hey, y'all, the house might burn down. I'm gonna go pack now. Come with me as I pack." Girl, put the phone down and pack. Snatch your dog, snatch your bags, snatch your shit, and leave. Take a quick pic or a video as you leave
Out.
and post it later.
That
But like,
part.
if you get time to stand there, caption and post, girl, we have a problem. So that's my first one. Second one. 30% of the
Mhm.
firefighter force is made up of incarcerated people, a population that over 50% of the state decided was fine with their forced labor. Now,
Mm.
incarcerated folks do get paid for this labor, but often without the proper training to fight fires, which
That's real.
endangers them immensely. And then they are not given a pathway to pursue these jobs after release because felonies. Which, like, why make them do a full skill set that they'll never use? America,
Right.
get together. Like, what? What is this? And the next time I'm talking shit about people who are incarcerated, remember, they help fight fires and help with disasters like this. Like, just
Every time. Every time.
and like the people that you have, that y'all half of y'all voted to say, you can stay in prison and do forced labor are the ones that are truly like helping save your home. Like
Mhm.
it just makes me like really frustrated.
Yep.
That said, now now when what's happening, we're seeing that many people are becoming unhoused because of the fires, right?
Mm.
People who may have to pay out of pocket for housing costs that they may not have, that insurance may not cover, that they may take. I mean, you trust me, insurance is going to take months. With the amount of calls we're about to get, it's going to take months, if
Baby.
even them, for them to reimburse people for things or to help them get their homes back.
Amen.
And this is a point that many housing rights activists have been making for years. Anyone can become unhoused in a matter of minutes, and
Minutes.
that never means that they don't deserve access to resources, opportunities to get housed and be supported. So, I
Yep.
want all the anti-unhoused people to understand that this can literally be your bestie impacted by this who needs help, and not just the person on the street. And that person on the street can easily be your friend if they don't get the proper resources that they need. So, as you are thinking about how to help people, remember and recognize that this is how people actually can many people become unhoused because of disasters like this or
Yep.
things like this or financial crises that affect them and then lead them to be unhoused. And so have
Mhm.
less judgment, have more empathy, strive to help people more, and and just understand that what's happening here, right, are often like they are been the revelations of inequities that we have in the state and this country and in
Yep.
these cities. Like we need to all do better together.
Yeah.
So yeah, all knowing Pam's related to that just who had
Yeah.
me all types of bent.
Can I say this real quick, and then we'll go ahead and we'll close that out for this week. There's also part of me, so I've been seeing people online who have been quick to like critique Karen Bass and critique our governor Gray New, like all of like we see so many people who have all of these critiques. And I just want to say this, like a lot of y'all can't even keep your lives together. Can you imagine having to figure out an emergency at the scale of what they're having to figure out? It is not to say that they are without like I get it. Like I'm one again, you're talking to somebody who understands that two truths can exist at the same times. Should we critique politicians? Yes.
Yes.
Should we be on their heads about the decisions that they're making and how they're having long-term effects? Hell yeah. Like the fact that people are critiquing Karen Bass for what she did with that money that she did. Yes, okay. Like let's critique her,
Critique her
but
for budget
sis,
cuts, but go
this is
ahead, go
not
ahead.
the time.
Like, well, it's like critique her for budget cuts, but those budget cuts are not the reason why. Like those
Right.
budgets are actually not the reason why the fires
we're,
aren't
we're
being
dealing
fought.
with right,
Like
we're dealing with
like
climate, like
she's still mid
yes,
negotiation budget cuts. So
yeah,
the money that they're using to fight the fires is last year's money, girl. Like
right.
you need like again because
Again,
I
and,
too.
and 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 I'll just say this: niggas don't read. Like a lot of people love to jump online and love to have a critique on stuff. And I say niggas, not just niggas meaning black people. I say niggas
All
as
encompassing.
collectively niggas. Like Americans don't read. Like
Because
y'all.
that video of her at the
Mhm.
airport, someone trying to film her at the airport, yes, Miss Grillo, I was like, she looks shook. But like, people are like, why isn't she responding? She is the mayor of one of the biggest cities in the country.
Right.
Do you not think the media training she has reminds her to not say a single word on
And there
someone's
are
phone camera?
6
Like,
fucking fires happening and thousands of people who don't know what they're going to do for food, for housing, for you're also having, and that's the other thing, like a lot of people don't take into consideration. You're also having to deal with the folks who are already unhoused in Altadena are now put in a worse situation. Like there's so many levels to this stuff. And so that's the thing I'm saying.
people
Like
are
I want
dying, and you're sitting here like, Karen, what are you doing?
right. And it's
Karen just
like
got off the plane. Karen did not know if fire was going to happen when she was in Ghana. Do I think
right.
Karen should have gone? No. Do I like? I haven't liked Karen like that. But
Right. I
like,
don't even know the lady.
y'all need to know who to actually blame
I'm
here, and
just
like,
and you need to understand that a lot of the terrible stuff that you are seeing is being done by a lot of the people who are not catching the heat. That's the stuff. That's what I want folks to really take away from this conversation.
because
Y'all
Karen did
have a
not
lot
cause
of
climate
heat.
change, y'all. Karen did not cause climate change.
Karen
Like,
had nothing to do with climate change. right? Does she feed into some of it? Yes. But there are a lot of people, the same energy that y'all are giving to Karen needs to be the same energy that y'all are giving to Elon. The same energy y'all need to be given to old boy who owns Amazon. The same energy you need to be given to and again, I love Apple, but I can also critique them too. The same stuff you need to be given to Tim Cook, all of them. They all need the same energy. And a lot of y'all love to give energy to minoritized people in positions of power versus actually giving the people who truly need the energy that they deserve around climate injustice. I will also say too that I don't want to be that girl, but I would also say that I think that this is an imperative time for us to start reading and doing more research around eco-terrorism, because for
Yes.
6 fires to
Yes.
happen within vicinities of each
Mhm.
other after what we just saw a couple of weeks ago, I'm not saying it, but I'm also saying it. It's giving fishy. It's giving real fishy that these last couple of weeks we've been seeing stuff pop off, and then we turn around and see 6 fires oh, okay, girl. So again, I
Mhm.
want us to be more. I think that's my point is I want us going into 2025 to be more informed on the stuff that we're talking about. If you're going to jump on a platform and start talking about what people are doing and what they're not doing, I need you to be more informed about it. I need you to have read something on it. I need you to be that girl who has studied it just a little bit, just enough. Because that's me. I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know enough about a lot of stuff. And I'll tell you up for I don't know nothing about that. But what I will tell you is that I read an article. What I will tell you is that I've texted Joho and said, "Hey, girl, what is this? What is happening here? What is going on?" Before I actually make a statement on the mic, or I will say, "I'm going to give my thoughts on this, but I haven't done enough research on it, so I'm gonna shut the fuck up." That's what I want a lot of us doing in
Mhm.
2025. If you don't know enough, if you ain't done the research, shut up. That's okay. It's okay to just shut up. That's all we have for you. With that being said, leave us your thoughts, your feedback, and your email, blackfatfempod@gmail.com. We welcome you to jump in our DMs and into our message box. We love you. Sometimes we'll read it, sometimes we won't. You can also send us your thoughts via social media by interacting with our posts on Instagram and on the skies of blue by
Okay.
using the handle Black Fat Femme Pod. A reminder, we are no longer on X. That place can keep Elon and all of the other people that are on there as well. Queen Joho, tell the dogs where they can find you.
Happy 2025, guys. We have given y'all some shit out the gate for this year.
My
You can
God.
find me at Joho Daniels across all socials or my website, JordanDaniels.com. And if not there, you will find me sat and seated for the new season of The Traitors
Oh, it's
because,
already giving.
girl, girl,
Already giving.
these 3 episodes,
Yeah,
whoo,
they ate that.
bitch,
They ate that.
down. Not
Mm-hmm.
a single crumb. I live. I
Yes.
live.
Mm-hmm. That's
Literally, Alan Cumming called RuPaul and said, RuPaul, you're done. You're finished. The Emmys you want, mine. Snatched.
them
RuPaul,
Emmys
goodbye.
is mine, sis. I know
Mine.
that's right. From one queen to another. My God. As for me, you can also find me watching this season of The Traitors, but you can also find me watching the show Missing You. Fantastic. It is good. Get into it. But other than that, I've just been telling people head over to my website, buy my book, www.drjohnpaul.com. You can pre-order the book up through March 25th, where it'll be everywhere. In the next couple of weeks, I'm going to record the audiobook, so that's really cool. There's a lot of really cool stuff that I'm hoping that after we get through this really tough time that we'll be able to entertain and engage. So yeah, come on down, come on down. But with that being said, we want to say thank you to our wonderful producer, Bei Wang, for all of the help that they give us to make sure that the show goes. They handle all the logistics and everything connected to the show. We also want to say thank you to everyone over at iHeart for keeping the show up and running, because without them, truly, honestly, we would not have the platform that we have. And so we're really grateful to iHeart for, again, we're getting ready to go on year 3, and it's just been, it's a blessing every day. We don't take it for granted that we have this platform. And we also want to shout out our wonderful editor, Chris Rogers, because without him, there would be no show or visuals. So
Okay.
we want to shout them out. Also, you can follow them on social media as well. Chris Rogers is easy to find everywhere. I think it's CX Rogers on all of their socials. And also, bring them on to do stuff. They do an amazing job. If you're looking for someone you want to consult with him, and Chris, feel free to cut this out if you want. But anyway, I'm just trying to make sure that they get their coins.
Okay.
Let me reset this. This has been another show. Stay black, fat, femme, and fabulous. And remember what, Joho?
We may not be your cup of tea, but girl, drink some water. You probably need it
You
anyways.
probably
Okay.
need it anyway. I know that's right. I love us for real. I'll see y'all next week. Bye.
Bye.